The Fresh and Fit podcast. Why girls continually fail to understand their roles. This is a really interesting title to me because titles are really important. You want to bring in the most amount of people possible, right? And so with this title, Why Girls Continually Fail to Understand Their Roles, they're bringing in two completely separate audiences. They're bringing in the incels that are like, why these bitches don't know what to do? And then they're also bringing in the women that are saying like, excuse me, what did you just say? So this title is essentially clickbait. Let's be real.
Why are men so intimidated by the idea of coming home to a independent woman?
We're not intimidated. It's
I
a
would
headache.
think that an independent woman, like independence is an attractive quality.
No.
How would you define independence?
Okay, let's go ahead and stop right there. This is not a conversation. This is a podcast that is posed as a conversation, and I totally get it. We're producing a show here. Maybe the point of it is to argue or have conflicting things, but you know, the judgment that this guy shows when he leans back, when he says, why are men intimidated? You don't even know what's coming next. He doesn't even fucking know. It's like the minute that she says, why is a man intimidated? By what, bitch? By what? Or maybe he knows the other guy is about to go off or something, but the speed in which they respond to her means that they have already come up with the conclusion that they are willing to fight for it no matter what she says.
We're not intimidated. It's
I
a
would
headache.
think that an independent woman, like independence is an attractive quality.
No.
How would you define independence?
He just
I mean, in simple terms, a woman who doesn't need a man, but one.
One in the chat, if somebody said to you, oh yeah, Amy, she's really independent. One in the chat if you know exactly what that means. Two in the chat if you would need some more clarity. Destiny's Child did a song about this. We know exactly what an independent person is. This is somebody, maybe they make their own money. Maybe they're comfortable going out to dinner or going to a movie by themselves. They can sit in a room by themselves for a while and be okay. They're highly individualistic people. I don't know. I don't need to explain to you what an independent person or woman is. So what this is just a bait for a point of contention. It's like, let me get you to say as much as possible about the thing that I don't agree with, and I'm getting ready to rip you to shreds. Where is this going?
I mean, in simple terms, a woman who doesn't need a man, but wants a man and wants to be also, I mean, I can provide in my own ways, and the man will provide in his own ways. However that dynamic works, it'll work.
Okay, so you said a woman who doesn't need a man but wants a man.
Oh, he thinking real fast when she says something about why is a man intimidated, but now when he's got to repeat it back to her, it's like, so you said, what he's really thinking is like, what's the next hook? What's the next argument he's going to build on? I can almost guarantee you, dude, I haven't even seen the video. I feel like whatever he's going to say next is just going to be something to provoke her or that is clearly the complete opposite of her opinion. I mean, is that just the point of this show? It's still pretty cringe, bro.
What do you mean by, like, I'm trying to understand what do you mean by
I mean, I'm not a child. I don't need a parent.
Okay, I'm gonna stop soon. I'm gonna let it play through. I'm trying to understand, what do you mean? I don't understand why you are such a fucking idiot and don't understand what an independent person is. When somebody says, I don't understand, when you make a simple statement, it makes you doubt your words, as though you have to explain a simple statement. I don't even, like, have you guys been in that situation before? How are you not getting heated? What do I look like to you right now? I just went full screen.
I want to be in a partnership. I want somebody who will, if I'm younger than him, for example, I want him to strive to raise me to his level. Just like, I feel like a top tier men are drawn to people who they want to be their peers eventually. They like lifting people up. And I think that in a relationship, it should be the same.
Well, I think for me, I think you're viewing it as a woman. I think it's hard to.
It took him that long to come up with that. I think you're thinking about this like a woman. I need you to think like a man. I need you to think like me. Think like what's right. Think like a man, and then come back to me. All right, I don't understand.
Let's say you made $200,000 a year, right? And your man made $50,000 a year. You would eventually want him to get there.
No,
is that fair to say, ladies?
True.
Absolutely.
And if he was lazy and he didn't want to get there, he wanted to stay at 50,000, would that be a turnoff? if you didn't want to get better?
Yeah, it's not about laziness. Here's another example. If I wanted to study something and I knew that I wouldn't be able to work for the next 8 years, medical school, for example, then if my man is willing to support me, I want him to eventually be happy with my success.
Yeah. So let me finish my example, and I want to answer your question.
God.
The point is that you guys.
Why are this? Oh, look at him. CEO. He had a piece made that says CEO. Looked like homie was walking around the office and nobody knew. His name is CEO Lifestyle. Wait a minute. Okay, let me just say the name Big Boss BOZE is ironic, okay? I just need to say I made this name 6 years ago when I first joined Smaj, and they told me that I needed to make my name the same across all socials. And so I made my name Big Boss BOZE because I'm 4'11" and I was entry level at my job. So I thought it was funny. And then as my platform grew, I didn't realize that people thought I was really labeling myself as that. Oh, that is so fucking funny. All right, anyways, my irony.
The point is that you guys want a man to get on your level. So guys, if a woman was making $50,000 and you're making $200,000, do you want her to make $200,000? Is that a priority for you guys?
He's gonna say no. They're gonna say no. Yeah, dude. She's fucking saying that because she thinks that that's what y'all want to hear. When I was like listening to this the whole time, I was thinking about it and like, I've been doing this for a while. I make a good amount of money. I am not going out into this world ever expecting to like, you know, like I wouldn't go out here and be like, I want to find a guy that makes more money than me because that's what's going to make me respect him. To be fair, sometimes money does make people respect you, but that's not the same for everyone. So your salaries in a relationship, it's not a breaking point or like I don't even fucking know. Like that's not everything.
Men are conditioned to protect and provide for thousands of years. So men are not looking for a teammate who can do what they do. You know, like it's like the best way I can break it down.
But it's not about doing. Sorry for interrupting you. Yeah. I apologize. But it's not about doing what they do. It's about doing me and being supported and
So here's
supported emotionally. And
here's a problem: a man with options can choose, and unfortunately, you're the worst option. No disrespect. No disrespect, because here's the reality. There's two guys, right? There's a guy that makes $500,000. All things are equal. They're both handsome. They're both tall. They're both successful in their own sense, right? One is a successful teacher making $50,000. One is a successful doctor making $500,000. Which one is more attractive?
I'm so sorry. I blinked out a second ago.
Okay, cool. So
that's actually really fucking funny. That is a great response to that. That was almost the equivalent of I don't understand.
There's two guys and everything is equal. Okay.
Thank you.
One of them makes $50,000. One of them makes $500,000. Which one is more attractive? Everything is equal.
It's okay to say the truth.
I know.
It's okay.
Listen.
The feminism in her won't allow it.
No. I'll answer honestly.
She's still on an equal partner.
I'm just as mesmerized by fancy, shiny things as any other person is. I find that sometimes men who have a lot become entitled.
Listen. I just said everything was equal.
Okay, then yeah, for sure the man who has more because my life would be better.
Because you value that more. So what you got to understand is women.
This is an echo chamber. That's all this is. How disgusting. This is an echo chamber of a single line of thinking that all of the cast members, which are the men, are reinforcing. Either by knocking the girl down when she says something and they all laugh, or, you know, earlier we saw this guy over here nodding when the person said something. And I don't understand why these women have agreed to be here and be exploited by these men, knowing that this is their tactic. They invite you into their echo chamber and then make fun of you.
You like that in men.
Yeah.
A man being independent, a man not needing you, a man to be able to take care of his stuff on his own. That's what you value in men. Men don't want that in women. Because the reality of the matter is, when a woman is really turned on by a man, when a woman is really in love with a man, when she really respects him, she becomes utterly dependent upon him because she does not want him to leave.
So here's what I don't like. My biggest fear is to lose my independence and to rely on somebody else.
And know where that comes from? Where does that come from?
Whoa.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Whoa. I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Okay, so this woman says, my biggest fear is to lose my independence and rely on somebody else. Period. That is her fear, right? She knows it. She feels it. It's there. And then he says to her, but where did that come from? Immediately. It points to her and then sits there on his hand. What is he signaling to her? He's signaling to her that he has the answer. It's like, thank you for saying your feelings. Now I'm going to tell you where they're coming from because I'm the authority. I may not know your background, any abuse, childhood trauma, or anything of that nature, but I know exactly where that fear of losing your independence comes from. Bitch, you don't know me.
Where does that come from?
Whoa.
And then they say, "Oh, like he."
I don't know. I mean, I've been independent since I was 18, and I think it's a very important thing to me.
I know, but where does that fear come from?
I don't know. I don't want to rely on anyone. I wasn't brought up to rely on anyone, and I don't think
exactly that came. So what happened in childhood? Either your experience showed you, or somebody communicated that to you, because you're talking about I have a fear. You can't live your life according to fear. Oh, imagine me saying, I have a fear of crashing on a plane. I can never get on the plane.
Damn.
So your whole relationship movement is based upon a fear.
Dude,
that's unhealthy.
You know what? This guy that's talking actually has elements of almost going in the right direction. And then it's like his bias just takes him right back here. And his cockiness and his confidence is like, this is just like it's not even confidence, it's just cockiness. It's just a battle, you know? I almost feel like this person has the tools to properly communicate, but they're putting on a show and just trying to push somebody into a corner and perpetuating a really, really nasty stereotype. I thought we got out of this.
So what I've noticed is a lot of women, when they move in a relationship, it's based out of fear. You can't live your life based upon fear.
I think it's unhealthy to put yourself in situations where you could potentially be left with nothing.
But that's the mindset.
That's the fear.
You see how you're living your life? You're living your life worst case scenario thinking. Imagine me saying, I don't want to start a business because if I open a business, I can lose all my money, because that's a risk of starting a business. You can put all your time, energy, effort, and money and research into a business and lose it all.
Dude, fucking podcast host gaslights me out of my feelings for 15 minutes straight. Podcast host gets to the root of my deepest fears.
You can look it up right now. We have all the data.
What is he
Women
talking about?
divorce men at higher rates than men divorce women. 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women. We have Google right now. We can go ahead and pull it up. So the reality of women being left by men is a misnomer. It is feminine mythology.
I'm not talking about. My concern is not being left by a man.
I love that this woman is like really standing her ground, because what this guy over here in this shirt is essentially doing is he starts off by making her question herself, and then he hits her with the "I'm going to tell you why you're wrong," and then he hits her with the "I'm going to guide you in the right direction." This is like almost a form of like manipulation that paints the aggressor as a savior, where in the end, if she had taken the bait about that's a fear, then he could have gone off on a tangent of how she can fix herself. Hence why they're looking for submissive women that they can control, because they want to be the savior.
My concern is jumping head on into a relationship where I'm feeling like I'm being supported and helped, eventually losing my independence because I'm relying on him. I don't need to work if somebody's paying my rent.
What does that mean?
So I'm explaining. Wait, I lost my train of thought. What did you say a second ago?
What I said is that
women are not leaving men.
Your fear. You literally said.
Hold on. Wait. What? Who? Look. Okay. Look. This dumb bitch right here. I'm sorry. This is the pick me girl in the room. Look. There was something that happened in the beginning of this video that she did, and I was like, that might be the pick me. And here she is. She loves the feeling like she's blundering it. But she's actually not blundering it. This girl's just going with the vibe of the room. Like, yeah, the fresh and fit boy. I bet she was talking shit after the show. Weren't you? Weren't you, Katie?
My fear isn't that my man will leave me. My fear is that I won't be able to leave because I'll be put in a situation where I can't leave.
Okay.
That's great.
So that fear is based upon a worst case scenario. You're living your life on a worst case scenario. If you take that energy into business, you'll never be successful.
But
if you tell
relationships...
let me finish. If you take that energy into finances, you'll never have any money. If you take that energy into friendship, you'll never have any friends. So what happens is that if you're living your life based upon a scenario that a fearful thing can happen, that's on you. But the wise thing to be is to be like, okay, that's a possibility.
The wise thing. Here's what you're doing, and now here's the wise thing to do, implying that you're not wise. Yo, 1 in the chat if you would have walked out by now. 2 in the chat if you would have stayed just to see what other bullshit was about to be going on. God, would I have walked out? You know, I'm petty, and I like to see what all is going on, but I think I'm a 1 here, y'all. I would have to leave. And I know this is just a show, but if you're ever around anyone that comes at you with this kind of energy, and they're clearly not looking to communicate, they just want to prove why they're right, just walk away. It's the only way that you win, because these people will fight you to protect their beliefs, which are tied to their ego, at all costs, and you will not win. It becomes a battle of the egos. So the best thing to do is just walk away.
So how can I, as a woman, find the right kind of man who will support me and help me not make that happen? There's no way possible you're going to find a guy where 100% of the time he will never do anything wrong. So life is a risk. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Number 1, I do think that being
what is our pick-me girl laughing about?
A woman in the world, you do have to live not in fear. Maybe fear is the wrong word to use, but you do have to be very, very conscious and cautious of all the dangers around you. And relationships can turn dangerous at a certain point. That's number 1. I'm not saying I'm living out of fear. Not at all. Every relationship that I've been in.
What does that mean, though? You just said relationships can turn dangerous at a certain point. You know what's very fascinating about this, what you just shared? What do you mean by dangerous? You mean domestic violence?
Also.
Okay, so let's talk about domestic violence. You know what's fascinating?
Wow. You know, here's another thing, too. This girl has essentially repeated herself for the past 8 minutes over and over and over again. Even though 3 times he said, I don't understand. Can you explain this to me? She's basically repeating her same statements over and over and over again in different forms, trying to get him to understand. But the problem is he clearly does not want to understand. This man has jumped from topic to topic to topic. That's the fear. That's not going to work in business. You're losing yourself. Salaries. Now we're talking about a domestic abuse. He's just jumping around different topics. I've talked about this before. When people start jumping around different topics just so they can win, run.
Domestic violence and lesbian couples are the highest of all couples.
I mean,
so you just hate women.
Whether it's lesbians or straights or anything, it doesn't matter. Being in a relationship where you're relying 100% where you're codependent is unhealthy, in my opinion.
Codependent,
respectfully.
See, this is what happens when you create straw mans. When you make an extreme. So on one end of the extreme is codependency, where I have nothing without you. Another end of the extreme is where you're probably at. Independency. I am without you. But the healthy medium is interdependency, is that I could exist without you, but I not only want you, but I need you.
So can I say?
Let me finish. Because I'm being honest with you right now.
Let me finish, because my word is so much more important than yours.
The energy that you're on is masculine energy.
Oh God, no.
No, why? Because you're comfortable. And this is the problem. You're comfortable with having to usurp your way. So a lot of times there's no, when it is a relationship, when women say they want equality, there's no equality. There's no 2 kings in one castle. There's no 2 presidents in one country. There's no 2 CEOs of one company. There's always a leader and somebody submits to your leadership. You want to be in charge.
I don't. I absolutely don't. I will say my dating style, I love a man who will support me, lift me up, help me. But at the same time, I'm not going to relinquish all of my power.
Right.
I understand it, but what I'm saying is that what you're communicating is an idea which you feel like you represent. But I'm telling you right now, from even communicating with you, from this conversation, talk to hundreds of women, the energy that you have is very masculine energy.
Oh my God.
You can say all that you want, but the idea is you want somebody to join your team. You want somebody to join your program. You want some.
Do you guys feel like this woman over here has insulted him at all? And I'm really trying to rack my brain about that, because just the incongruency of him throwing jabs directly at her, like saying you have masculine energy. Look, they both taking a sip versus her. It's just really interesting. And maybe it's because it's his show and she's trying to be respectful, but
someone to follow and support
I want to join
you.
someone's team just the same. I think
that's not how it works. That's not how it works. When two companies merge, one company joins one company. When two kingdoms merge, one king joins one kingdom.
And that's fine. But I'm not going to put my personal well-being in jeopardy.
Which is
healthy. I think it's healthy. Why is it an extreme to care about yourself?
No, you're making an extreme argument. You're saying that I'm putting my personal well-being in jeopardy. You're not. A lot of women who are in happy, healthy relationships, they're not putting their personal well-being in jeopardy by being with a masculine man and submitting to them happily. They're actually putting their personal well-being at the forefront of their life, and they're benefiting from it, from that masculine man's lead. But in your situation, let me tell you what's going to happen. Unfortunately, you're going to have to find a feminine man who's going to have to follow you.
Okay.
Who's going to have to be
all
led
right,
by.
dude, if we're playing that game, how do you even handle this situation at this point, right? You know, I always want to implore you guys to do things with grace. But, you know, the only thing that's going to get this guy here is just throwing it back in his ego. If she were to actually hit something to his core one or two times, he would get real frazzled and get upset. He's actually in a very emotional state right now, pretty deep in his mind, wherever his bias or his ego is or whatever his hating women is. He's almost in a different place right now and just blindly defending it. Does that make sense? If you do something to bring him out of that trigger, he will come out of it, but I think the best thing to do is to just walk away.
What happens? Of course you don't want that, because no woman does. But the number one problem is, though you don't want that, the man that you want won't want you. And
I'll be honest, I've never had any of these issues in any relationship in my life.
Okay, then why are you so single right now?
I would ask him, have you had issues finding a woman that will submit to you because no one respects you?
I mean, I'm seeing a person in my life.
So you're single?
I really don't want to share personal details of my life, but I am in a very good place right now.
Let me be honest with you. You're doing what women try to unfortunately do when they're in a social setting. You're
generalizing, but go ahead.
This is just
common between men and women. What you're doing is you're using the English language to shape reality instead of to express reality. You see that you don't want people to look down upon you for being single. I'm not shaming you for being single. So therefore, let me finish. So therefore, you're trying to share. Well, I'm not single. I may be single. You're single. So moving forward in this conversation, use English to express reality. And the reality of the matter is, yes, you are single. That's the truth.
Okay, can I ask something?
Go ahead.
I keep losing my train of thought. You're confused because you're talking at me, and then you keep telling me not to interrupt, and then my train of thought loses me. So I do apologize. But why is it so important for people to strive to be in a relationship? My priority at the moment,
of course, is.
But let me just say, you preach this to men as well. You say, men, if you want a high value man, work on yourself, be better yourself. So I'm saying my job right now in life is to work on myself, become a better version of myself.
I love it.
And eventually, hopefully, I'll be able to be with a person who will deserve that.
I love it.
Once again,
so my question to you,
she said from
what are 3 things that you're working on today that's going to make you desirable to the high value man that you want? What are those 3 things that you're working on today?
Social circles. I think that networking is very important.
Okay.
Another thing is I hope that I will be able to be successful in my life. And I mean, it's pretty shallow, but also I think that looks are important, and I take care of myself.
Cool. So out of those 3 things that you mentioned, you said social circle, success, and looks. The only thing that really is relevant to a high value man is going to be the looks. So the unfortunate reality is that a lot of women such as yourself, they say, I'm working on myself to be more desirable to a man. But the things that you're working on, a man does not want.
This man is going to be single for the rest of his life because he doesn't know what he actually wants in a woman. What he thinks that he wants in a woman is just through societal standards of what we perceive a man and woman in a relationship to be and what a relationship is. And he's just running through town, running through bitches, not respecting anyone, just being like, I know what I want, while he has this image of a woman that doesn't really exist. He wants a woman that is beautiful, subservient, working, but doesn't, always has time for her. This is an image he's conjured in his mind, and he won't relent to dating anyone else. One thing that I've learned is that, finding an actual partner is, and you've heard this before, is finding somebody that fits you, right? They fill the holes in you that you didn't. about to say, they fill the holes in you that you didn't know you had. They fill spaces in you, like emotions, skills, or abilities that you don't have, and they bring that out in you. And so when you've never experienced it or seen it from maybe a role model, maybe you have a crush, maybe somebody you dated, like, you'll never know what you as an individual actually need. Like, if I were to ask you right now, what are you looking for in a partner? You'd probably give the most generic answers of all time. I want somebody that's funny, smart, has a good job, like good, I don't know, just all this different shit. And then in reality, it's more like the things you're looking for are specific to you. Okay? Like, if you're horrible with cleaning, then dating somebody who organizes things well and cares about that, that's a good match that's going to change something in you. Like, it's about filling those kind of things. And these generic things that we're looking for in a partner, I don't think they really, like, exist.
Imagine a man saying, okay, I'm working on myself to be more desirable to women. And you know what I'm doing? I'm learning how to wear fluorescent dresses. Is he doing something that'll make him more desirable to women?
There's probably a woman out there.
Yeah, it's easy to make that argument.
So
let's be
over
realistic.
him. We gotta finish
Is he
the
doing
video, though,
something
guys.
that's making him more desirable to top tier women?
Probably not.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm not disagreeing with you on most of your points.
I know, of course not. I know. So
I just want to make that a point. Like,
we understand. We understand.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the comments.
tier
Just you and me
woman?
talking right now.
That's fine. I'm not looking.
So the point I'm trying to make is that when women say I'm working on myself, a lot of times they're not working on themselves in a way that's going to make them more desirable to other men. So to the point of, yes, our podcast, we're telling men to do things that tangibly, same as Fresh and Fit, we're telling men to do things tangibly that make them more desirable to women. But unfortunately, what you're working on and what a lot
If you are a man, please don't listen to this podcast. Can you fucking imagine you start dating a guy and you're on his laptop one day and you see the Fresh and Fit page and every single video has been watched to completion on YouTube?
a lot of women work on are things that will not make you attractive to men.
Okay, so I will say, like, I don't think that my end goal is to be attractive to men. My end goal is to work on myself so that I have a higher value as a person in my life. I'm happier.
Yeah. All right, like the video right now. All right, you want to know what my fear is?
Okay. Hey.
My
All right. Well, anyways, that's the end of their thing.